I found out my husband was cheating. As if that was not enough, my entire family knew about it. They also knew it's been going on for almost a year, but chose to protect him. It was 2 days after Christmas, 7:43 in the morning. I was making coffee in our kitchen, still in my pajamas, and his smartwatch was charging on the counter. It buzzed, then buzzed again, then 3 more times in rapid succession. The screen lit up with each notification, and I could see them clearly from where I stood. "Good morning, beautiful. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you at lunch. Wear that black dress I like. Miss you already." All from someone named Scarlett. My coffee mug slipped from my hand and shattered on the tile floor. The sound of ceramic breaking was sharp and final, like something snapping in my chest. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Lily, and up until that morning, I thought I had a good marriage. Not perfect, but good. The kind where you still kissed each other goodbye and talked about your days over dinner. The kind where you planned vacations together and argued about what to watch on Netflix. I'd been married to Blake for 4 years. We met when I was 25 and he was 29, both of us at a mutual friend's wedding. He was a corporate attorney at a downtown firm, confident and charming in that way that made you feel like you were the only person in the room when he talked to you. I was teaching 5th grade at an elementary school across town, and I fell for him fast. Everyone loved Blake. My parents thought he was perfect. My older brother Wesley called him a solid guy. My younger sister Chloe said she wished she could find someone like him. We got married on a beach in September, had a honeymoon in Greece, and settled into a life that looked exactly like what I'd always wanted. A house in the suburbs with a backyard and good schools nearby, 2 cars in the driveway, plans to start trying for kids next year. I ignored the signs. I didn't want to see them, so I didn't. The late nights at work that started about a year ago, the business trips that seemed to multiply, the way he'd started putting his phone face down on tables and taking calls in another room, the expensive cologne I didn't buy him for Christmas that appeared in our bathroom in October. When I mentioned any of it, he had explanations ready. Big case coming up, client dinner, conference call with the West Coast team. His firm gave everyone cologne as a holiday bonus, and I believed him because I wanted to, because doubting him felt like doubting us, and I wasn't ready to do that. My family backed him up every single time. "Blake's just working hard," my mom said when I mentioned the late nights during a phone call in November. "You should be proud of how dedicated he is." "Lawyers have crazy schedules," Wesley told me over Thanksgiving dinner when Blake missed dessert to take a call. "That's the price of success." Even Chloe, who I thought would at least validate my feelings, said, "Maybe you're just stressed from work. Kids are exhausting, right? Maybe you're reading too much into things." So I stopped bringing it up, stopped questioning, stopped looking too closely at the cracks forming in our marriage, until that smartwatch notification. I stood there in my kitchen with broken ceramic pieces scattered across the floor and coffee soaking into the grout, staring at that screen like it might rearrange itself into something that made sense. Blake was upstairs in the shower. I could hear the water running through the ceiling, the faint sound of him humming whatever song had been stuck in his head lately. I picked up his smartwatch with shaking hands. The notifications were still there on the lock screen. 5 messages from Scarlett, each one more intimate than professional contacts should ever be. My stomach twisted so violently I thought I might throw up right there on top of the coffee puddle. I knew his passcode. We'd always known each other's passcodes. It was one of those relationship things we'd established early on, back when we trusted each other completely and had nothing to hide. 4187. The watch unlocked. I opened his messages and immediately wished I hadn't. The conversation with Scarlett went back months, maybe longer. I scrolled and scrolled and the timeline kept extending. September, August, July, June. Over a year. They had pet names for each other, inside jokes, plans to meet at hotels I'd never heard of, photos I couldn't bring myself to look at for more than a second before my vision blurred with tears. She worked at his firm, a paralegal named Scarlett Castellano, who I'd met exactly once at his office holiday party last year. She was pretty and young, maybe 26, with dark hair and a bright smile. She'd shaken my hand and told me she'd heard so much about me. I wondered what she'd heard, if Blake talked about me when they were together, if he felt guilty, or if I was just an inconvenience he had to work around. The shower shut off upstairs. I quickly locked the watch and set it back on the charger exactly how I'd found it. My hands were still shaking so badly I almost knocked it off the counter. Blake came downstairs 12 minutes later in his suit, still adjusting his tie. He looked exactly like he always did, handsome and put together, and completely unaware that his entire life was about to implode. "Morning," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. His cologne, that expensive one I didn't buy, filled my nose. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I heard myself say, "just tired." "You're always tired lately," he said, but his tone was gentle, concerned even, like he actually cared. "Maybe you should take a mental health day. The kids will survive without you for one Friday." I wanted to scream at him, wanted to throw his smartwatch at his face and demand answers right there in our kitchen, with the coffee still drying on the floor. But I didn't, because I needed to know how deep this went. I needed proof that I could look at without convincing myself I'd misunderstood. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice whispered that I needed to call my family first, get their support before I confronted him. "Maybe," I said instead. He grabbed his watch from the counter, strapped it to his wrist, and kissed me again. "I have a late meeting tonight. Probably won't be home until 9 or so." A late meeting. With Scarlett, probably. In a hotel room somewhere while I sat at home grading spelling tests and meal planning for a marriage that didn't actually exist. "Okay," I said. He left. The front door closed. His car started in the driveway. The sound of his engine faded down our street. I stood in our kitchen, still in my pajamas, surrounded by broken ceramic and the ruins of everything I thought I knew, and I called my mom.
She answered on the third ring. "Lily? Everything okay? It's early." "I need to talk to you," I said. My voice sounded strange, hollow. "Can I come over?" "Of course, honey. What's wrong?" I almost told her right then, almost said it all through the phone, but something stopped me, some instinct that this needed to be done in person. "I'll be there in an hour," I said. I cleaned up the coffee and the broken mug, got dressed in jeans and a sweater, grabbed my purse and my keys. My parents lived 40 minutes away in the house I grew up in. My dad, Ronald, still worked in insurance. My mom, Beverly, still did part-time bookkeeping for local businesses. They'd been married 36 years and always seemed happy, which was why I thought they'd understand, why I thought they'd support me. I was wrong. Beverly opened the door before I even knocked, her face creased with worry. "Lily? Sweetheart, what's going on?" I walked into their living room and sat on the same couch I'd sat on 1,000 times growing up. The room smelled like the vanilla candles my mom always burned, and the coffee brewing in the kitchen. Everything felt both familiar and completely foreign. "I think Blake's cheating on me," I said. The words hung in the air. My mom's face did something complicated, something that looked almost like resignation. She sat down next to me slowly, and my stomach dropped before she even opened her mouth. "Oh, honey," she said softly. Not surprise, not shock, not denial. "You knew," I whispered. "Lily, you knew." My voice was louder now, harder. "How long?" She looked away, toward the family photos on the wall. There was one of my wedding day, me and Blake smiling under an archway of flowers. I wondered how she could look at it knowing what she knew. "A few months," she finally said. "Your father and I, we saw them together at that restaurant downtown, the Italian place. They were having dinner, and the way they were sitting, the way they looked at each other." A few months? I repeated. The number felt impossible. You've known for months and you didn't tell me? We weren't sure at first, and then Blake called your father. He explained that you two were going through a rough patch, that he'd made a mistake, but you were working on it together. He asked us not to say anything because it would just make things harder. I stared at her. And you believed him? He was very convincing, and we hoped, that you two would work it out, that it was just a bump in the road. Did Wesley know? I asked. The question came out flat, emotionless. My mom hesitated. That was answer enough. Does Chloe know? Another pause. Lily, does she know? She heard something from a friend who knows someone at Blake's firm. She came to us asking if it was true, and we told her that you and Blake were handling it privately. My entire family knew. My parents, who raised me and taught me about honesty and integrity, knew. My brother, who I'd looked up to my entire life, knew. My sister, who I talked to almost every day, knew. And none of them told me. They let me walk around for months living a lie. They sat across from me at Thanksgiving dinner 3 weeks ago and smiled and made small talk and didn't say a word. They watched me plan Christmas presents for a husband who was sleeping with someone else. I can't believe this, I said. I stood up because sitting felt impossible. My legs were shaking, but I needed to move. I came here for support. I came here thinking you'd help me figure out what to do, and you've known the whole time.
We were trying to protect you, my mom said. Tears were rolling down her face now, but I felt nothing looking at them. We didn't want to hurt you if it wasn't necessary, if you two were working on it. We weren't working on anything, I shouted. He lied to you. He's been lying to all of us, and you just believed him instead of asking me, your daughter, if any of it was true? My dad appeared in the doorway. He must have heard me yelling. He looked uncomfortable, guilty, but not surprised. Lily, I think you need to calm down, he said. Don't tell me to calm down. You saw him with another woman and said nothing. We didn't know what to do, he said. It's complicated when it's family. I'm your family, I said. I'm your daughter, and you chose him. The silence that followed was louder than my shouting had been. I grabbed my purse. I need to go. Lily, wait, my mom started. No, I cut her off. You had months to tell me. You had so many chances, and you chose to lie to me instead. I walked out of that house and got in my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I drove. Not home. I couldn't go home yet. I just drove aimlessly through neighborhoods I barely recognized, past parks and shopping centers and schools that all blurred together. I ended up at a coffee shop 30 minutes from anywhere I knew. I ordered something I didn't want and sat in the corner scrolling through Blake's smartwatch messages that I'd screenshotted earlier. There were hundreds of them. Can't stop thinking about you. You're incredible. I hate that I have to go home to her. Soon we won't have to hide anymore. That last one was from 2 days ago. I read through their plans, the hotels they'd been to, the lies he'd told me to cover for them. Every late night at work was dinner with her. Every business trip was a weekend away together. Every time I'd felt crazy for questioning him, my instincts had been right. And my family knew. They all knew. And they let me stay married to a man who was planning to leave me for someone else. They protected his lie instead of protecting me. My phone rang. Wesley. I stared at his name on my screen for 3 rings before I answered. Mom called me. Lily, I'm sorry you found out this way. Which way would have been better? I asked. Were you ever going to tell me? He didn't know how, he said. He sounded genuinely distressed, but I couldn't find it in myself to care. Blake's a good guy who made a mistake. I thought, a good guy? I interrupted. Wesley, he's been cheating on me for over a year. He's been lying to my face every single day. He turned my own family against me. What part of that sounds like a good guy? He didn't want to be the one to blow up your marriage, he said quietly. He already did that. You just watched it happen.
I hung up before he could respond. My phone rang again immediately. Chloe this time. "Lily, please don't hate me," she said the second I answered. She was crying. "I didn't know what to do. Mom and Dad said you were handling it and I should stay out of it. So you just never asked me? Never checked in to see if I was okay? I thought you knew. I thought you and Blake were working through it, and I didn't want to make it worse by bringing it up." "Well, I didn't know. I had no idea until this morning, and now I find out that everyone in my life has been lying to me." "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "Me too," I said, and hung up. I sat in that coffee shop until it got dark outside, until the baristas started cleaning up and giving me looks that said I should probably leave. I had nowhere to go except home, and home was the last place I wanted to be. But I drove there anyway, pulled into my driveway at 6:47 p.m. Blake's car wasn't there yet. He was probably with Scarlett, having the late meeting he'd mentioned, the one he thought I still believed was real. I went inside and I started gathering evidence. I took screenshots of everything on his smartwatch before he could delete it. I checked our bank statements and found charges for hotels, restaurants, jewelry I'd never received. I went through his email on our shared laptop and found confirmation numbers for trips I'd never taken. By the time Blake got home at 9:13 p.m., I had built an airtight case. He came through the door smiling, loosening his tie. "Hey babe, sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible." I was sitting on our couch with my laptop open and printouts spread across the coffee table. He saw my face and stopped smiling. "We need to talk," I said. Blake looked at the papers spread across our coffee table, and his face went pale. "What is this?" he asked, but his voice had that careful quality, the lawyer voice he used when he already knew the answer. "You tell me," I said, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like evidence of a year-long affair with Scarlett Castellano. He didn't deny it. That's how I knew it was worse than I'd thought. He sat down and put his head in his hands. "How did you find out?" "Your smartwatch. This morning. She texted you while you were in the shower." He looked up at me. "Lily, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. It meant nothing." "Don't." I read the messages, Blake. All of them, going back over a year. I saw the hotel receipts, the restaurant charges, the trips you took together. I never meant for this to happen. But it did, for over a year, and you lied to me every single day. I was going to end it, I swear. I laughed bitterly. "Really? Because 2 days ago you texted her that soon we won't have to hide anymore. That doesn't sound like someone planning to end things." He had no answer. "Did you tell my parents we were working on our marriage?" I asked. His silence confirmed it. "They saw you with her months ago, and instead of asking me what was going on, you convinced them to lie to me. You turned my own family against me." I panicked. I didn't know what else to do. "You could have told me the truth." "Would you have forgiven me?" I looked at him, this stranger sitting in our living room. "No," I said, "but at least I wouldn't have wasted another year of my life." He flinched. "I want you out. Tonight. Pack a bag and leave." "Lily, can we please just talk?" "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." He packed and left 20 minutes later. I stood in my entryway listening to his car drive away, then went upstairs and cried until I couldn't breathe. The next day, December 29th, I called in sick to work. I spent the morning researching divorce attorneys. By noon, I'd scheduled a consultation for January 2nd. My phone kept buzzing. My mom called 6 times. Wesley called 4 times. Chloe sent a dozen texts. I ignored all of them. Around 3 p.m., my mom showed up at my house. I watched through the window as she rang the doorbell. I didn't answer. She stood on my porch for 10 minutes before she finally left.
That night, Chloe texted, "Mom is really worried about you. Can you at least let us know you're okay?" I typed back, "I'm fine, but I need space from all of you." December 30th arrived. I woke up remembering that today was supposed to be different. We'd been planning a New Year's Eve party, 20 people. My family was supposed to come, some friends from work, a few of Blake's colleagues. I'd already bought the food, already sent invitations, already cleaned the house and bought champagne. Then I had an idea. It was petty, probably terrible, but I was tired of being the only one who didn't know the truth. I texted everyone who'd been invited. Party is still on for tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Please come. I have an announcement to make. Then I texted Blake. Come to the house at 7. We need to discuss next steps in front of family. He responded an hour later. Is this really necessary? Yes, be there. I spent December 30th preparing. I printed everything: text messages, hotel receipts, credit card statements, the timeline of his lies. I organized them into packets. I also made a presentation, PowerPoint, titled How I Discovered My Husband's Year-Long Affair and My Family's Months-Long Cover-Up. New Year's Eve arrived sunny and cold. I got dressed in black pants and a white blouse. Professional. People started arriving at 7. My parents came first. My mom looked hopeful, like maybe I was announcing reconciliation. Wesley arrived with his wife, Mariah, and their 2 kids. Chloe came alone, eyes red. Blake showed up at 7:15 looking uncomfortable. My work friends arrived, 2 of Blake's colleagues from his firm. By 7:30, my living room was full. I'd connected my laptop to the TV. The title slide of my presentation glowed on the screen. Thank you all for coming, I said. The room went quiet. I originally planned this as a New Year's Eve party, but things have changed and I wanted to make sure everyone heard the truth at the same time. Lily, my mom said quietly, maybe we should... No, I'm done with secrets and lies and people deciding what I should or shouldn't know. I clicked to the next slide, showing Scarlett's text messages. 4 days ago, I found out my husband has been having an affair for over a year. I discovered it through his smartwatch. One of Blake's colleagues made a small noise. My friend Emma's mouth dropped open. Blake stared at the floor. I thought I'd made this terrible discovery alone, so I went to my parents for support. I clicked to the next slide, showing a timeline. Turns out my parents have known since September. They saw Blake with Scarlett at a restaurant. Instead of telling me, they believed Blake when he said we were working on it. My mom's face crumpled. My dad shook his head. My brother knew, my sister knew. For months, my entire family watched me live a lie and said nothing. We were trying to protect you, my mom said, voice shaking. Protect me from what? The truth? The only thing you protected me from was making an informed decision about my own life. I clicked through more slides. Text messages where Blake called me controlling, hotel receipts, weekends he'd said he was at conferences, photos of them together. He spent over $12,000 on this affair. Our money we were saving to start a family. My work friends stood up and hugged me. Others followed. Soon I was surrounded by people genuinely shocked and angry on my behalf.
My family stood frozen across the room. I called you all here because I wanted everyone to know the truth, I said. Not Blake's version, not my family's version, the actual truth. I looked at Blake. I've filed for divorce. My lawyer has already drawn up the papers. You'll be served next week. His head snapped up. Lily, please. I'm not finished. I also want everyone to know that Scarlett Castellano has been fully aware you're married this entire time. One of his colleagues pulled out his phone and started typing. Blake's face went red. And finally, I turned to my parents. I want my family to know that choosing to protect my husband's lie instead of protecting me was a choice that ended our relationship. Lily, you're being dramatic, Wesley said. His wife elbowed him hard. Dramatic? You knew my husband was cheating and said nothing? You sat at Thanksgiving and made small talk like everything was fine, and you think I'm being dramatic? He didn't answer. I don't want any of you in my life,
I said. You made it clear that Blake's comfort was more important than my well-being, so you can have him. The room erupted, people talking over each other, demanding explanations, surrounding Blake. My mom was crying. My dad looked destroyed. Chloe stood alone near the door, mascara running. Blake tried to approach me. Lily, I know you're angry, but doing this publicly. You mean like you publicly destroyed our marriage? Like you publicly humiliated me while I was too trusting to see it? I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, for over a year, repeatedly. Emma stepped between us. I think you should leave. He grabbed his coat and left. My parents tried to approach me next. Don't, I said. I meant what I said. I don't want to see any of you. Lily, we're your family, my dad said. No, you were my family. You stopped being my family when you chose to lie to me. My mom sobbed. Please, we made a mistake. The right thing would have been telling me the truth. The right thing would have been choosing your daughter over your son-in-law. I opened my front door. Please leave, all of you. They left. My mom still crying. My dad's shoulders slumped. Chloe looking back with devastated eyes. I closed the door on all of them. The friends who remained stayed for another hour. When midnight came, I was alone. I poured champagne and watched fireworks explode over the neighborhood. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Scarlett. Blake told me what you did tonight. You're pathetic. He was going to leave you anyway. I blocked the number. Another text. Blake from a new number. I hope you're happy. You've ruined everything. I blocked that one too. The next morning, January 1st, I woke up alone. No husband, no family calling, no one but myself. And I felt lighter than I had in months. I spent the day researching apartments, smaller places, fresh starts. My divorce lawyer called on January 2nd. We went over everything. She told me I had a strong case. Blake signed the papers without protest 3 weeks later. We were officially divorced by the end of February. My family tried reaching out multiple times. Cards, emails, messages through friends. My mom showed up at my school in March. Please, Lily, I can't lose my daughter over this. You didn't lose me. You chose to give me up when you chose to lie to me. I drove away.